is that I'm willing to take on some jobs that other people aren't. And I think back to when I first kicked off in importing. We had this fellow come up from Sydney and he said, are you willing to take on these cyclone-proof screws, roofing screws, and will you take them out into the Indian Ocean and, market them for us? And I thought, oh, okay. But he was really good. He came up with all the research documents. He showed us all the wind tunnels, the testings and stuff like that so that we could put forward a good argument and that. And at that time, I'd encountered a import-export agent from the Seychelles who really became a good connection to help me get those cyclone-proof screws out into the market in Mauritius and the Seychelles, Madagascar, those places. Yeah.
Welcome back. It's Pat Mesiti's best-selling author podcast, and Thea Boughton is here. Now, Thea is a co-author in a very cool book called The Light Bulb Moment with Pat Mesiti. Thea's last name is spelled Boughton, and Thea has an MBA. She's an entrepreneur, and she is the person to talk to whether you're looking to pivot your existing business or start a new business. She has some advice. She has some story to tell. So, Thea, glad to be speaking with you.
Oh, it's good to be speaking with you, Robert. Thank you so much.
And thank you for being here. So we introduced you a little bit, but in your own words, what are you all about and what is your current focus and what has you just so excited?
Okay. My current focus is adding to an existing business. That is an import-export business, and it also does business consulting. Through Pat Mesiti, I've joined what they call the Digital Academy course so that I can become more au fait with digital marketing and also lift up a new business startup consultation coaching type business online using the digital marketing platform. Took on a teaching role to teach students, but it wasn't business that I was teaching them. I was teaching them nursing, which is another career that I have as well. So in the course of that, I kept my hand in the business side of things, and I did business consulting locally. I've done things like doing a pre-audit for a one-person company before ASIC did their annual audit and being able to see them successfully through that. That's awesome. Helping new businesses to start up, evaluating a business idea and seeing whether or not this thing's going to work or whether it's just too small and could flop before they kick off. And just really making sure that what their dream is possible. And if you do the research and help them with that, help them to have a look to see what sort of people are interested in buying their product or investing in their service, and whether or not the market, the consumer market, is big enough to sustain what they're doing, and having a look at their competitors too to see just what sort of a reach have they got and how are they doing things. What do they do that's different to what we do? What are they doing what are they not doing that we know that we could do? And so differentiate ourselves in terms of our product offering or our business offering. And that I love working with people like that. Some of my customers have been with me for at least 10 years and they're still in business. They're still doing it. And, every so often they'll just turn around and say, look, here's such and such has happened. What do I do here? Okay, I'll sit down with them and I'll show them what they need to do. And if I don't know, I'll go and research it for them to make sure I give them a good answer that they can rely on. And that I love the fact that quite a few people find me approachable. It's easy to chat with. Yeah. And that I really like helping people. Yeah, I think I've run out of steam.
Wonderful. And I can tell. And you live many lives and you solve many problems. And so, where do you think people need the most help? Like you say, sometimes their trouble is like pursuing their passion or growing the business or solving certain problems. But where do you think is the real hurt, and what don't people talk enough about?
Yeah. People, they get these ideas, they get dreams, and they think, yeah, I can run with this. But sometimes you find them getting up and running with it before they've even checked to see whether or not there is a market for it, checking to see whether there are people really interested in it. And they race, they get their business up and off the ground and running, and then they start hitting their heads up against a brick wall. And then you've got people also, like I'll pick on the trade industry. If you have a look at electricians, you go into the Master Electricians Association and you go and have a look at some of their blogs, and you will find that for over 40% of the businesses, new business startups in the electrical trades, they fail within the first 4 years of having kicked off. And you just think, how does that happen? And then you start to have a look at the statistics, and some of these young fellows, they're spending 100 hours a week trying to get their sales in, let alone being able to invoice people and they don't even have a life. If they've got a girlfriend, she must be really good to put up with that, because the guy would be there trying to manually put invoices together and bill people and that. But when you put 100 hours in working in your business, and you've got hardly any time to work on your business, and this is where people run into trouble with taxation, they run into trouble with workplace health and safety, and they fall flat. They absolutely fall flat because
So you're
they
saying,
just don't have the hours to do everything that they need to do in that
so a
business.
lot of these business skills that you're mentioning, they're very are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening. I can't hear you though. You're silent.
Oh, I think we cut out. I think we cut out for a moment. So I was just
I
saying
think
that
you
it
did.
seems like a lot of these things that we hear about, right, of invoicing and being with the numbers and taxation, it's maybe forgotten about, right? Like, say, a tradesperson and an electrician, maybe they succeed as an employee and they say, hey, I've developed these skills, I earn a paycheck, I should just be independent. How hard could it be? And you're saying that there's just several hidden jobs or just very important recurring tasks in the business that these people just had not considered.
Yeah, that's right. That is absolutely right. And then, sort of they hit the wall. Taxation is saying, look, you're telling us this in your BAS statement. When we see what you put in the BAS statement and compare that with what you submitted to a bank when you've asked for finances, things aren't measuring up. And their debts, they get so deeply into debt that either one, that business is just being told by taxation, you need to go into voluntary administration, or in more recent times, they're allowing these businesses to restructure. What does that mean? It means that if they have a look at the accounting side of things, and if they lift the debt up off the books, they have a look at what's left, and if what's left is a going concern, then they'll come to an agreement with the business owner or with the directors if it's a small company, and to see how they can continue to work, stay in control of that business, and yet have an agreement whereby they pay off their debts. And it's a lot cheaper than going into voluntary administration. Like voluntary administration is going to be anywhere between $6,000 and $14,000 alone. And if you're already in debt, what chance have you got? So I would rather work with people like that as well.
Right. You mentioned a lot of these things that just need to be thought of ahead of time, right? These things that need to be done right business
Yeah.
wise. And so I'm
Yeah.
curious about your mindset, your thought process, and what sets you apart. Like there's many other, entrepreneurs, business owners, accountants, but what would you say is it that you do that really makes you stand out?
I think that what makes me stand out is that I'm willing to take on some jobs that other people aren't. And I've got think back to when I first kicked off in importing. We had this fellow come up from Sydney, and he said, "Are you willing to take on these cyclone-proof screws, roofing screws, and will you take them out into the Indian Ocean and, you know, market them for us?" And I thought, oh, okay. But he was really good. He came up with all the research documents. He showed us all the wind tunnels, the testings and stuff like that so that we could put forward a good argument and that. And at that time, I'd encountered a import-export agent from the Seychelles who really became a good connection to help me get those cyclone-proof screws out into the market in Mauritius and the Seychelles, Madagascar, those places. Yeah.
That sounds fun. You're a world traveler.
Well, it's like this. If you want to learn something, if you want to do something, you're going to be willing not just to be the general run of the mill where you've got a whole heap of competition, but if you can pick up stuff that other people don't want to touch, and that you've got to be realistic. You don't want to be cutting your own throat because it's just not a workable situation. But something as simple as those cyclone-proof roofing screws, that was workable. And by the grace of God, we had systems in place through a network that I could take those screws out into that scenario and start marketing them. Yeah. And I've
And
done
this
things like
idea that you're mentioning here of you being willing to do what you mentioning about like how you're willing to do what others are not willing to do. I find that very interesting because it's really easy to fall back on the self-sabotage traps or to wait until you're motivated to do something or allow yourself to get distracted. So do you have any advice as far as putting in the time and the focus and the energy that it takes to build a business? How do you stay on target and stay excited and stay on your goals?
I like business, and that I like the research. I like, digging and finding out, look, if we do take the screws into Mauritius, okay, what sort of a market have we got over there? And where else are they getting their building stuff from, And at that particular time, they were getting stuff from India, but they were also getting stuff from China. And we did run a risk of copycats and that, but we made it and that, yeah, and that, yeah. I just like when that fellow came with the cyclone-proof screws. He'd already contacted other import-export agents that were sitting in the yellow pages, and he kept on getting knocked back and knocked back. And this was his invention. It was a new innovation. It worked. And because other people do what they do and they do it out of habit, and this is what we normally do, and this is the product that we will handle, he was hitting his head up against a brick wall. And I was just a chance when he came our way. Yeah. It was worth it.
This is great advice that you love learning and you love trying new things. You're naturally curious, and that's very needed, I think, when you get a new client approaching you of any kind, right? They come to you and they're excited about their idea and they want you to be excited along with them, and that's very important. And in many ways it's a simple, straightforward way to stand out amongst many other people who maybe are like lazy competition, or they don't want to take a risk and try new things. That is what you want to do. And so as far as life advice in general, right? You've experienced many things in business and otherwise. What do you have to tell us about just living a happy and fulfilling life?
Living a happy and fulfilling life. It's a mindset. You can choose whether or not you're going to focus on positive things in your life. You can have words that speak positive on life into your circumstances. You can be negative and you can start seeing the downside of a problem, and then you start to focus on that. That's not a good thing, because, where there's a will, there's a way. If you're willing to do the hard yards, if you're willing to do the research, you can uncover things. Just because there are people out there that just naysay all the time because they're in the habit of it, you don't have to be like that. What you need to do is just say, look, let's do a cost-benefit analysis of this situation with the job that's sitting out in front of you. Okay, this looks as though it's workable. All right, let's have a look at our opportunities. What's the competition doing? Okay, fine. All right, I can find a way that we can actually up the ante and we can move forward and not worry about the competition as much as what we would if we were negative in our views. You just have to speak life into your circumstances. You have to keep healthy. I look at your diet and that, like, you can fill up on a whole lot of carbs and stuff like that, but in the end, it's not going to help you. You're better off to have a nice, healthy diet and look after yourself, exercise, and keep an open mind. Be willing to learn new things. When I wrote that chapter in The Light Bulb Moment, my children, I've got two daughters and a son. One daughter got in touch with the son and she said, "Oh, look, John, look at Mar's doing this time, And my son got on the phone to me and he said, "Ma," he said, "you never stop doing stuff, do you?" I said, "No, I keep going." And I said, "I hope I'm going to be a good example for the grandies, if not for you guys." They laugh. I'm very pleased with my children.
That is a good example. And you remind me of some people that I've known throughout my life who are in the older years who do more than the younger people. And it is inspiring, right? It does tell us to, man, if this person at that age can do all that, then what's my excuse? And so you're saying that choosing to, or thinking in not negative or positive terms, that is a choice. And if you're stuck in the negative thinking, then you might be stuck temporarily, but there are perhaps new, better habits to relearn, to be looking for the good in things. That way you act with positivity, because the negativity is a shortcut. And then you should be positive both mentally and physically, which means take care of your mind, be careful about the toxic, poisonous negativity of the mind, but also of the same bad input of your body. So this is wonderful to think about. And as we're getting close to the end of our discussion here, Thea, do you have any final parting words of advice, or do you have a quote or lesson that you think has been really helpful for you that will be helpful for us?
Don't stop learning, and be careful what you choose to let into your life, and watch what you let come out of your mouth. And that's, try and stay positive. And, there's a good God out there. He's awesome. And, take a word out of Proverbs: the wise keep on learning. And when it says they keep on learning, it also means that they store the learning in their hearts and in their minds. So it's a treasure that can be drawn on in the future as you progress onwards through life and you interact with others and you make provision for others. Like, I want to leave a godly inheritance to my children, and my children's children, but I also want to be a good influence in the lives of others as well. Thank you so much, Robert. I really appreciate time with you.
Thank you, Thea. And this is inspiring. And we want to make sure to tell people about your website, which is Thea Boughton.com, TheaBoughton.com. And we're still working on it as we're recording, but once it's online, what will be on that website?
On the website, I want to have a blog, which it'll be a blog that's updated with news and views and the likes, ways to do things. I'd like to include podcasts, which you can have really long ones or short ones, but I prefer to have the short ones because they're things that will give a quick answer to a problem that somebody might have. And if they see, how do I get customers? And there's a podcast on that, they might just want to just flick onto the podcast and have a look and see if they can get a few tips. And that you can get little reels and put on there. I also want to have coaching courses, and that to help people start up a new business, and then also help them to get in control of their finances with the business, and to be able to do business plans, marketing plans, financial plans, help them with their fundraising ideas, things like that, and help them to just grow the business. And if they need to tweak their product offering so that they become more profitable, let's do it. If they need to invest in certain areas of technology to streamline their processes, let's do it, but do it reasonably so it's not costing an arm and a leg. You want to be profitable.
Yes, let's do it. The time is now. Get your accounting right. Act from proven business principles. Don't leave it up to luck or chance or emotion. Have Thea help you and educate you and inform you on what you should be doing to create a sound business that works, that survives, that thrives, and that gives you what you want in life. So, Thea, it's been wonderful speaking with you today.
It's been lovely speaking with you, Robert. Thank you so much. God bless you.